So today's theme is about sadhana. And sadhana means a disciplined, personal, and spiritual practice. So when I went through teacher training, we had, obviously the hours of training that was lecture and practice and all of that. But we were required to do 2 hours of sadhana every day. And the sadhana that we did were energization exercises, yoga, pranayama, and meditation. And the 2 hour sadhana had at least half an hour of meditation at the very end. And I was really happy that that was involved in the curriculum because it really created a strong discipline that maybe even before teacher training you wouldn't have had. But the sadhana applies to everyone, and it can mean a lot of different things. So sadhana is just kind of putting away the ego or surrendering the ego so that you can be fully immersed in a practice that's going to provide, um, something for your mind, for your body, and for your spirit. Last weekend, I believe it was Saturday, we had taken the kids out. Rob had discovered this place called the Baked Bear. It's an ice cream place that is completely dangerous because you pick a cookie or a brownie to be placed at the bottom, and then you pick whatever ice cream you want to be placed on top of that, and then you can pick the same cookie or brownie or something completely different to be on top. So you're kind of making an ice cream sandwich. And anyway, the kids loved it, and I didn't have any. I just had one cookie. I didn't eat ice cream or anything. But right after that, we had gone to Target, and we had, we were needing some supplies and some things. So we went there, and the kids had gift cards that they wanted to spend. So while I was in Target, I realized I was getting really distorted and contracted and a little nauseated. Like I just wasn't feeling good. And I didn't have any of the ice cream stuff, so it wasn't that. And when I got home, the kids went upstairs, Rob was kind of doing his thing, and I was just in a funk. So I knew that I needed to get myself feeling better. So I went into my office here and I created the recording for the meditation, which was a half-hour meditation. And I felt better after that. And it lasted about an hour. And then I started feeling that funk come in again. So I came back into this room. Rob was making dinner. I came back into this room and I started playing some yogic chants, some mantras. And I sang mantra out loud for like 20 minutes. Well, that made me feel better. And that lasted about an hour. And then the funk came back. And I was like, why can't I get rid of this? So I grabbed my rose crystal or my rose quartz and I held it in my hand for like an hour or two. I kept it because I realized I had gotten triggered. And I was trying to think back, like what happened? What made me feel this way? Because sometimes we're like sponges and we absorb things from other people. And I thought, well, maybe I was just absorbing things from people when I was out since I'm not getting out as much right now. And then I thought, well, maybe it's the mask because I'm not used to wearing the mask for more than, 20 minutes at a time. And it was longer than that. I thought, well, maybe that was it, just restricted my breath. But then I realized it was much more deeply rooted than that. And it had to do with lacking a little bit of self-worth is what I pinpointed it to. So I ended up that evening taking a shower with candles. And anyway, basically, I'm trying to share with you that any little thing that we do like that can also be sadhana. It doesn't have to be a yoga practice. It doesn't have to be sitting and doing breath work or sitting in a formal meditation. Like you could do other things to shift your energy and to bring you back onto the spirit side of things instead of the ego side of things. And another piece of sadhana that I've been trying to practice is, I injured my neck like a year ago, and I'd seen a chiropractor right before the pandemic, and then I stopped going. And then all of a sudden, last summer, my low back started hurting, and it didn't hurt all the time because I think I did enough yoga to kind of minimize the pain, but it would definitely spike up and get aggravated. So I finally, a couple weeks ago, decided, regardless of the pandemic, I need help with this issue in my low back. So I started to see a chiropractor out here. And the first and second time that I left the chiropractic office, he told me my pelvis had shifted and tilted, and that's what was causing my issue with my low back, because it was impinging my SI joint, one of them. But I noticed when I sat in my car, I was completely straight. I didn't even have to think about posture. And so what I've been trying to do as part of my sadhana to keep my body healthier and happier is when I'm sitting on the couch, instead of just slouching and falling into the cushions, I'm trying to, sit back and keep my back straight. And I noticed the other day when I was in bed reading, I was slumped back on the headboard, and then I scooted back so I could sit straight. And I think that is definitely helping, this issue with the SI joint. So I want to share with you something about sadhana, and then we're going to get started, and we're going to turn this into our disciplined personal spiritual practice for the day. Sadhu is the root word for that Sanskrit term sadhana, and it means go straight to the goal. So sadhana is routinely using the mind, the body, and the spirit in certain ways to obtain peace and to reduce suffering. So just remember, whenever you're feeling any type of suffering, can you pull out your bag of tricks? Can you drop into your toolbox? Can you use the things that will, kind of recenter, rebalance, and to bring you back into a better vibration or a better attitude or feeling? And the last thing I want to share before we get started, anything can be a sadhana, such as like leaving the chiropractic office and just trying to maintain that good posture. It could be the way that we're eating. They say that in order to truly digest our food properly, we have to chew our food 30 to 50 times before we swallow, and that's a lot. But even being mindful that way when we're eating is going to be helpful, especially for our digestive system. It could be the way we're standing. It could be anything that we're doing in a conscious way. Yogi Bhajan said, sadhana is a personal process in which you're bringing out your very best. So now that you know about this term sadhana, we're going to put it into practice. And the way I want you to put it into practice when we're doing certain poses, you're just going to do your best. Do your best with what's available in the now, feeling free to modify or to advance any poses along the way. And I will meet you on the mat. We are actually going to start in a comfortable seat today. When you're sitting upright, close your eyes. When you close your eyes, align your mind to your spine. Try to set yourself up with decent posture, where it's elongated, each vertebra stacked upon the other, but with some space in between. Lifting the heart and the crown of the head. And then start to refine your breath. Breathing in and out through the nose. Let your inhalations pull you upward, and let your exhalations ground you downward. Three more deep breaths. Let's start off with a Kriya. So if you open your eyes and really lift up, as you exhale, you're going to twist towards your right thigh. As you exhale, you're going to drop down, sweep over to the left, and then inhale back to the top. Now, feel free to continue to incorporate that twist in before you roll over your lap, or you can minimize the twist and just smooth out the circle that you're creating with the upper body. I usually start with the twist, do it 2 to 3 times, and then I get it a little smoother. And remember, it's not really about how low you go over your lap. So pay attention to your SI joints, to your low back. Pay attention to your hips and their flexibility. Feel free to close your eyes to find an appropriate pace. And if you speed it up, that's okay. You just need to speed up your breath as well. This Kriya is good for the kidneys, helping to get a little stiffness out of the body. It's also nice for the adrenal glands. Let's do one more circle. And then inhale, draw it back to the top, opening up your palms. And just noticing how things may feel like they're spiraling inside your body. Certain areas may feel more full of life. Other areas may feel a little dull. So we're going to try to match that and take it in the opposite direction. But first, look down at your feet and swap their positioning. Press your hands back to your lap, jut up through your heart. Exhale, twist towards the right, or the left, excuse me. Drop down and over to the right side, and then inhale up to the top. So basically going the opposite direction that you were. The eyes can be open or closed. I like to close the eyes. Let's do 3 more. And then rise back up to the top, opening up your palms. Just observing now how areas that may have felt more dull have now come to life. Instead of feeling that spiraling action in just one direction internally, hopefully you're feeling more balanced, and that's not as pronounced. And then just sitting in this space of absorption, in the space of observing, even this could be part of our sadhana. And then gently begin to open up your eyes. Let's go ahead and come up to stand. And I think I mentioned we may be using blocks a little bit later, so you can have them set at the front of the mat. We're going to ground and root the feet. And remember, the feet, anytime we're standing, is the primary foundation of the pose. So once you really ground your foundation, notice how your muscles kind of slurp to the bones. And lift up energetically through your navel center. Bring your palms together. And then we'll begin. As you inhale, reach the arms up to Urdhva Hastasana. Keep your chin parallel to the earth. And reach the fingertips skyward. As you exhale, we're going to bring the palms together today. And we're going to fold straight down to Uttanasana. And when you fold over to Uttanasana, feel free to hug that belly in. If you need some low back support, feel free to soften the knees if that feels better for your hamstrings. And then just try to gravitate a little lower with your upper body. Firm in here as you hold. Nothing and no one on this earth can hold. Knee down or back. Inhale, slide your hands up your leg bones. Reach up through the crown of the head. And then as you exhale, spill back down. On your next inhale, we're going to take the legs back into plank position. And from plank position, stacking shoulders over wrists. And instead of lowering the head, which puffs the upper back up, instead draw the heart forward and lengthen out through the sides of your neck, looking ahead of you. As you exhale, you're going to push back to downward facing dog. And when you reach back to downward facing dog, we're just trying to warm up the legs a little bit more. So dig deep into your sticky mat with your hands and feet so that you're drawing the energy all the way up the limbs into your seat. Let your head release between the arms. And then on your next exhalation, sink down to your knees. And when you sink down to your knees to tabletop, we're going to walk the right foot forward and in between the hands. And if that's difficult to manage, and if you have blocks, it builds up more space and it makes it a little easier to step the right foot through. So you can always use them. With your hands resting on the floor, try not to allow the knee to track past your ankle as you sink your hips. And then put a little weight in your body so you feel like you're gravitating lower towards your mat. Feel free to lift the head up. And then we're going to start to warm up the quads. So if you press down with your left hand, and what I do, instead of keeping it right alongside the foot, I send it over more towards the edge of the mat. It makes it a little easier for this. The right hand will prop up on the right knee as you twist to the right. And then point your left toes and float it up in the air. Now, you don't have to do anything else from here. However, if you can manage taking the right hand to find the foot behind you, then you can hold it. Otherwise, it can just hover. Either way, you're going to open up the front of your thigh. And this correlates back to the stomach meridian, according to Chinese medicine. This will help us to shed some stress and worry. Good. Now, release that back foot. Replant the hands. Curl the back toes under. Lift that back knee. Step into your plank pose. And then exhale, shift forward, lower down, chaturanga. And we're coming into Sphinx today. So if you stretch your leg bones back, walk the forearms out in front of you. Crawl the elbows in. So they're probably more narrow than the outer frame of your shoulders. Press through the forearms to really lift your heart. With your legs shooting back, keep your toes kind of glued to the floor, which will elevate the knees. Push down through the pubic bone, which will tighten your glutes. Take one last breath. And as you exhale, slide your hands under your shoulders, pour down to the brow. We're going to leave the knees on the floor so that we can push up onto all fours, curl your toes, and link them back to downward facing dog. When you arrive at downward facing dog, push up and out of your wrist, up and out of your shoulders, up and down of your side ribs. Really focus on the pinnacle of the pose. Inhale all the way up into your sits bones. And exhale, come back down to the knees. All right, and if you need the blocks to help you to step forward, just bring those in. And this time, we're stepping the left foot forward. And when you step that left foot forward, aligning the shin, dropping heavy through the hips, and then gazing out with your eyes. This is also helping to release the iliopsoas muscle in the hips. Now we'll replace that right hand over towards the edge of the mat. Left hand to prop to the knee, twist to the left. And then kick up that right foot nice and slow. And this is why we sink the hips really heavy. Because when we lift that foot, we don't want too much pressure on the very top of the knee, the patella of the knee. It's more in the fleshy part towards the top of the knee. So if you find that you can't sink as heavy through your hips, maybe that's taking you to the top of the knee, you may need more padding. So you can always add a blanket. You don't have to find the foot, but if you can reach it, take a hold of it. You don't have to pull it in anymore. Notice how it feels. It's pretty intense for me right now. And it is early in the day for us. Good, release that foot, release the left hand, curl the back toes, pluck up that back knee, and we're gonna step to the top of the mat. Hands to the shin bones as you lengthen out to Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhale, slowly fold back down in. Pausing here in Uttanasana. One of the poses we're building up for is going to need some openness in the back of the legs, but we'll also need some openness in the front of the thighs. Inhale, root down to come all the way up to Urdhva Hastasana. Pausing here at the top and making sure you're weighing down your feet. Flying up through the fingertips. Exhale, palms together, and we're gonna bow back down. Inhale, pop up halfway. Exhale, release. Now inhale, take your plank. Shine the heart forward, keep your thighs lifted, keep the belly firm. And then we're gonna lower down to the knees, tabletop. All right, flatten out your left shin and foot as much as possible, because now we're gonna lift the right leg. Keep the knee about as high as your hip and then flex the foot. Draw the navel in a little bit more for this. Press through your right hand and take your left arm back. So already you're in the pose. Remember, we want it to be a sadhana. Sadhana means surrender the ego, make it a spiritual practice. So listen to your body. If you can point your right toes to find that left hand, you can always sink the belly, open the heart, and create more of a half bow. But again, this is good too. And release. All right, we're gonna take that to the other side. Left foot will lift. Feel how that tightens the buttocks on that side as well. Push down through your right ankle and foot as well as your left hand to free up your right hand. Find a place to gaze at with your eyes to steady yourself. Steady your breath. And then if you can point the toes, find the foot, you can open to a half bow. Breathe. And release. We're going to curl the toes under, launch into downward facing dog from there. Hands press down, thighs roll in and power back. Inhale, come forward to plank. Exhale, lower down to chaturanga, and we're sinking down to the belly. We're going to bring the arms forward to Sphinx. Sphinx is going to be kind of our back bend that we're working with today. Except in this pose, we are now going to slide the left knee up, and we're going to take the foot and flip it to the inside, so it's like half frog leg. Root down through the elbows and lift the crown of the head a little higher. Inhale, take your left leg back. Exhale, slide your right knee up. Half frog leg to that side now. And then notice how we can get, just sliding the knee up, we can dip down into the shoulders. So recommit into the back bend. Bring the Sphinx element back. And breathe. Inhale, let's take the right leg back. Exhale, let's lower to the brow. Inhale, push up to all fours. And exhaling, downward facing dog. When you arrive to downward facing dog, cinch in through your low ribs. As if you have a corset on and someone's tightening it in your back body. Not to the point where it holds the breath or restrains the breath. Just in a way that makes the midriff a little slimmer due to activity. Next in breath, you can meditationally walk, lunge, or float through to Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhale, let go. Inhale, build yourself all the way back up to the top. And then make sure you have your muscles engaged for this pose. Your breath full. And allow the exhale to draw you straight down the middle to Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, free fall back down. Inhale, let's take plank. And from plank position, we're actually going to sink the left knee and shin. But I want you to offset the right foot. Lift your right knee up, flexing that foot, reaching the right arm skyward, and possibly tagging a hold of the right foot with your right hand. If you want more of a bow, you can push the foot into the hand. You can lean your head back. But I just tried that and that was aggravating my SI joint I'm having issues with. So I'm coming back to where we started. Remember, we're trying to lessen suffering to attain peace. So anything that creates impingement or pain, you want to reduce or just exit out. All right, we're coming back to tabletop. From tabletop, shift your right shin back, lift your left knee up, and left arm skyward. So you're already in it. So don't feel like you have to find the foot. But if your left hand can reach down and hold it, then go for it. If you want to push the foot into the hand and lean the head back, that's still, my SI joint's like, nope, not today. So I'm listening. Listen to your body. That's part of the sadhana. Good, and release. When you return back out, we're going to take plank because we're going to shift back to the floor through chaturanga, down to the belly, rising up to Sphinx. All right, from Sphinx, we're going to change it up. The right arm is going to turn. The left heel is going to draw in. And maybe you just want to do this. Perhaps that left hand can find the foot. And if it does find the foot, this time you are pulling in like a lever. And as you're pulling the heel closer to your body, you're actually angling the heel towards your outer hip. Some people make the mistake of sending it towards the tailbone. Now, it's possible you may be concentrating on the left thigh and maybe shrinking a little bit in your upper body. So if you want to push down through the right forearm and build up into more of a heart opener, you can always add in that little extra. Some people like to stay in the twist. I like to turn to face the front. You can do it either way. This is half frog as well. There's several frog poses. And then release. Okay, left arm in front. And then right heel draws in. And again, if you want to stay here, keep it gentle. That's fine. If you want to reach that right hand behind you, find the foot. You can also pull that heel down towards your outer hip. It's okay to shrivel in the upper body if it's not causing any pain in your back or shoulders. But if you want to bring that integrity in of Sphinx pose to make it more active, root through the left forearm and then lift yourself up a little taller. And release. We'll take the hands under the shoulders, come back down to the brow. Lift up. I feel like we need a child's pose here. So let's stretch back into Balasana. The hands can stay glued to the floor. The hips slide back towards the heels. The forehead may or may not tap the earth. Firming as you hold. I release now from all outer involvements into my own inner haven of peace. Inhale, rock up hands and knees, and exhale, downward facing dog. Down dog is another nice counter position from those poses. Let's hold it one last breath. And then we'll inhale. Of course, you can meditationally walk, lunge, or float, feet together, to the top of the mat, rising halfway upon arrival. Exhale, spill back over and down. Inhale, coming all the way up to Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, we're coming right back down. This is our last sun sal, by the way. Once you fold into your Uttanasana, inhale, pop up halfway. Exhale, lower back in. This time, we're going to inhale, step the left foot back. So we're going to take a lunge. And when we take the lunge, get your footing and start to climb up to crescent. Now, crescent, the back heels off the floor, a little different than warrior one. Requires a little bit more balance, but we're on the ball of the foot because we're going to create some movement. So the inhale will be here, and on the exhale, the hands come down the midline and we bend the back knee. Inhale, we shoot right back up. Exhale, we're going to drop it down. We're just doing 3. Inhale, rising. Exhale, deliberately sinking. All right, inhale, come back up. Exhale, just lower your hands. All right, when we come back, we're going to take the right leg up in downward facing dog. We're going to bend the top knee and roll open into downward scorpion. So there is a slight twist through the shoulders. There's a twist, an opening in the hips. What we're really trying to target here is the inner left thigh. One more breath. And now slowly unroll the hip, land your right foot, shift forward to plank. Exhale down to chaturanga, sink to the belly. And when you sink all the way to the belly, bring the forearms out in front. We're gonna, instead of sinking, we're gonna lift up. We're gonna bring the feet over the knees and flex them. And now we're going to go into shark. If this feels better for your shark to keep your arms here, then you can use this position. If you want to add in more back strength, you'll notice you'll have to lower more to your belly. And arms will reach back. We're not going to find the feet today. We're just reaching the hands back. Palms face each other. And if you're doing the recording later and if you want to grab your feet and come to bow, you can. I'm staying in shark. Keep breathing. Strengthen your diaphragm muscle along with your back. Rising up and down as you breathe. One more breath. Exhale, release the feet, hands under the shoulders, down to your brow. Inhale, rise up into table. Curl your toes, take downward facing dog. Now from Adho Mukha Svanasana, we're gonna inhale, lift the left leg skyward. We're gonna bend the top knee, spiral open through the hips. Gaze up underneath the left arm, push into your hands more, straighten out through your back more. Holding downward scorpion, staying mindful of your breath. And then we'll unroll and we'll just swing that left foot to the front. Get your footing, because we're coming up to crescent lunge. Once you have your balance, we'll exhale, breathe it down. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, take it down. One more round. Exhale, drop. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hands down. Spring the back foot forward. Open up your heart center. Exhale, bow out. Uttanasana. And as you're holding your Uttanasana, bring in that same affirmation. Nothing and no one on this earth can hold me down or back. I choose to practice and be empowered with my sadhana. Inhale all the way up to the top. Exhale, hands to heart. Now soften your shoulders, close your eyes. Salutations to the sun and to the awakening light within us all, to the dawning of a much higher state of consciousness in all beings. Relax your arms. Reopen your eyes. All right, so we're going to go up for 2 balancing poses. And the first thing I want you to do is take a block on its tallest height to the far left corner of your mat. And I want you to step your left big toe to the corner of that block. Slide it to the middle of your mat, about 12 to 18 inches, okay? We're gonna start standing on the left foot. We're not gonna use that block until the second pose. Okay, the first one's gonna be dancing Shiva. So to move into dancing Shiva, align your left leg into Tadasana. Take your right hand behind you and take a hold of your right foot. Lengthen your left arm in the air. And maybe this is all you do today for your dancing Shiva. However, we can also hinge forward, shine the heart forward, look forward with the eyes, and carry the right foot up and away from the body, pushing it lightly into the right hand. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, take the hand and the foot down. So I'm going to go over something really quickly because I don't know if you could see. I'm wearing all black and that was in front of the picture. When I grab the foot behind me to move into dancing Shiva, I grab the inside of the foot. That way, my shoulder is rotated open and the knee is less apt to flare to the side. It will instead shoot straight back. Because when you're standing that way, holding the foot, the thighs should be parallel, knee side by side, before you move, okay? So the pose that we're about to go into now, we're actually gonna hold the foot a different way. We'll actually be holding the top of the foot from the outside, okay? So I'm gonna turn back around. Your foot's in the same place it was earlier. Take a hold of your right foot. Actually, let's do this. Let's do it a little different. Let's take the left hand to the block. And that way we already have some stability. And if you can, find your right foot from there. And then start to spin open to your right. So it's very similar to half moon, but it's called sugar cane. And if you don't need a block, you can set your hand to the floor. If sugar cane is too much for your body today, you can always just roll open into Ardha Chandrasana half moon, and the limbs can stay extended. So yogi's choice. going to come out. Take your time coming out of the pose, so it's nice and safe. And then we're going to do it with the right block at the right corner. We're going to do Dancing Shiva first. So take your big toe, slide it from the corner to the center, 12 to 18 inches back. Shift your weight onto that leg for your foundation. When you're ready, pick up your left foot, hold it with your left hand, reach the right arm skyward. And if you want to move towards Dancing Shiva, feel free. And inhale, build up. And then if you want to take your hand to the block, you could even start off Ardha Chandrasana if you don't want to start off grabbing the foot for sugar cane. So you can do either one. Find your balance and breathe. And then exhale, cautiously exit. And then come to stand. All right, that was our big peak pose today. Separate your feet. We're going to do a twisting kriya. So I suggest knee softly bent so you can swivel the hips. Your arms loose and limp. Head turning with the arms. It's almost like a little hand drum, like from Karate Kid. And then come back to center, but keep your eyes open because since energy really dances and moves upstream, it's possible to have a little lightheadedness. So keep the eyes open, let it settle. And then we're going to end with Shavasana. So you can take your legs up to a chair, to a sofa. If you have that available, a footstool. If you have two blocks and a bolster, you can create Stonehenge. So it's kind of similar. If you don't have this, then you can do corpse pose or put a pillow up under your knees. I'm just thinking since we did some back bends today, it might be nice to elevate the legs so that the low back gets a little flatter to the floor. And then you kind of wiggle the shoulders down from your ears. The hands can rest on or off the body. Close your eyes. Check in with your body temp. You can always cover with a blanket to keep yourself warm. Smooth out your breaths. Being receptive on your inhale. Dropping into more relaxation on your exhale. Take a few rounds of controlled breath. Remembering how medicinal the breath can be. So your sadhana can even be at times when you're driving and you are seeing reckless drivers around you. You're dealing with rush hour traffic or standstill on the interstate. If the stress hormones begin to release, just come back to your breath. The same thing can be applied here. So if your mind starts to get a little reckless, or it begins to lure you away towards the stressors of yesterday, the worries of tomorrow, return to your breath, to wash it away, to recenter your awareness, and to come back home to yourself. Remembering that the breath is our connection to the great mystery, to the great spirit. Continue to rest and breathe. Committing yourself to this practice so that sadhana can become a natural part of your life. Something that can open up our consciousness and connect us back to infinity within. Now that the mindfulness bell has chimed, go ahead and draw the knees into your belly. Hug them in and gently sway, and rock and roll from side to side. Tipping over to one side, and coming up to take a formal seat. Sitting for a moment in silence and reverence. Checking in to notice if you were able to surrender the ego, to surrender away your stress and worry, to attain some peace. Remembering that anything can become a sadhana, even washing dishes, or walking your dog, or gardening in your yard. As long as we're truly present, immersed and absorbed in what we're doing. Bring your hands now to Anjali Mudra, prayer position at your hearts. May we all be inspired from this practice, learning about sadhana and maintaining this discipline as a spiritual practice. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste.